Belly and Jeremiah begin Season 3, Episode 3, The Last Supper, celebrating young love with a traditional morning makeout in bed following last week's surprise proposal. However, Belly needs to leave right away to see Taylor. The recently engaged pair talks about how they'll tell everyone before she leaves. First, Jeremiah presents Belly with a real ring when he asks her to marry him once more. Like a grain of sand, Belly is equally ecstatic about her perfect diamond. Following her altercation with Stephen, Taylor isn't feeling as well. She says Belly she wouldn't accept Stephen back if he were to approach her at a coffee shop. Pleaded, unless. Belly, displaying her amazing timing skills, can't contain her joy and breaks the news of her engagement to Taylor, who becomes enraged. She inquires about Belly's pregnancy and then questions why they are getting married so quickly, pointing to Stephen's accident as the clear cause. Lola Tung also made a similar suggestion in her most recent ELLE interview. After that, Belly declares her intention to marry in Cousins this summer, which Taylor notes is incredibly quick given Jeremiah's recent infidelity scandal. Disappointed with her friend and still certain that she and Jeremiah will be together forever, Belly refuses to heed the advice and departs to meet her father, John. While on bed rest, Stephen tries to access his work, but his coworker blows him off. His transition to peaceful healing is not going well. He should not spend his days staring at the screen because he has a traumatic brain injury, Laurel reminds him. The guilt of missing the initial emergency call when Stephen was admitted to the hospital, because she was in bed with her ex-husband John, torments her. Conrad and Agnes are dating, and the young, red-headed medical student is turning out to be incredibly intelligent. Conrad's statement that She advises him to go to Cousins for exposure therapy, as a counterbalance to his evident love for Belly, since he is not prepared to work with patients and intends to spend the summer working in a lab. She also harshly criticizes his justifications for missing his mother's devotion. She advises him to normalize the situation by leaving. They get nostalgic when Belly runs across her buddy Anika packing her college room for the upcoming semester in Paris. Belly chooses to torment herself by inquiring about Anika's thoughts on her return. Shortly after the cheating scandal, together with Jeremiah, Anika assures Belly, "I trust you to make the right decisions," refusing to be duped. Very tactful. Belly is once again tempted to break the news while driving to her mother's house with John. She even pulls out the ring in the passenger seat. They wind up discussing how really in love Laurel and John were before their divorce. John also nearly reveals that he had an affair with his ex. Laurel makes it apparent that their conference hookup was a one-time rinse when John next sees her. John advises him to forego Susanna's dedication ceremony after their spar so they can maintain some distance from each other, and with a somber expression, Laurel concurs. Belly tries to speak up for Taylor when she checks in with Stephen, but he doesn't agree. He acknowledges that he needed to find some stability and get off the Taylor Jewel roller coaster. Belly says she gets it, but as a form of discipline, she takes away his computer. When John arrives, his irate son insults his choice of work as a history professor. The patriarch isn't feeling like a member of the family at the moment, but he swears to return the computer. Taylor seeks solace from her mother, Lucinda, and learns that she has finally broken up with her boyfriend, Scott, who appears to. It was never liked by Taylor. Lucinda is adamant that Taylor and Stephen work things out, which may be related to her recent breakup. In an awkward phone call that same evening, Belly and Jeremiah discuss how they will notify Conrad about the engagement, acknowledging that everyone may think they're insane. Premonition. Taylor pays Belly a visit the following morning and expresses regret for her response to the engagement announcement. After politely reconciling, they start chatting about the wedding arrangements. Taylor supports Belly's decision and says she is willing to ride or die for her. Belly asks her to be maid of honor as a reward for her attempts to demonstrate her excitement for the situation. She has a scrapbook they created as children ready for their ideal wedding. Things become heated as Taylor departs and discovers Stephen on the couch, but it's obvious that they both long to be together once more as they say goodbye. Lucinda calls Stephen when she notices Taylor's melancholy. Before Lucinda confronts Stephen with a business matter, they discuss how he is doing. She invites him to work with Taylor, of course, and to visit and look over the accounting records of her salon for a financial evaluation. This simply results in Stephen telling Taylor about Lucinda's mother's financial difficulties. He cautions her after examining the records and discovering that the situation is serious. For allowing Scott to manage her company and making her look foolish in front of Stephen, Taylor confronts Lucinda. Belly and Laurel reminisce while looking at some old pictures for Susanna's memory board. How proud Susanna would be, Laurel says. Some of Belly's life goals, such as her success in school and her time spent studying in Paris, but most definitely not her daughter being married before she turns 21. They talk about Conrad, and it's obvious that Belly is still apprehensive about her ex-boyfriend learning. With Please 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 by Sabrina Carpenter playing in the background, Belly prepares for the dedication ceremony by tucking her ring away. Fortunately, Jeremiah delivers his speech at the event, and everyone is taken aback when Conrad appears. Adam, the boy's unaware father, adds to the awkward embrace between Belly and Conrad by referring to Belly as the Lil Sis. After they announce their engagement, Belly and Jeremiah drive to the restaurant, and Jerry worries Adam might say something else stupid. They decide to hold off on breaking the news while they are conversing because, after all, Belly's father is absent, and she wished to inform both of her parents at once. After Adam gives Stephen a card from his workplace, he and Conrad discuss how their family's dynamics are changing. Stephen informs Conrad that instead of continuing to be an intern in training forever, he wants to make things. Although Stephen points out that Conrad saved his life by making a crucial phone call after his accident, Conrad claims that Stephen is more successful than he is. Dinner has a nasty vibe. Belly chooses not to order the pricey dishes because Laurel intends to pay. Adam, however, becomes arrogant and places an order for Belly, selecting the seafood tower. Belly appears to be extremely conscious of the class divide between her family and the Fishers, and she becomes particularly irritated when Adam interrupts Laurel after she proposes a toast. When Laurel does speak, she raises a toast to Belly and Stephen. After congratulating Conrad, Adam makes fun of Jeremiah for being a super senior. Belly announces their August wedding plans after being pushed to her breaking point. Adam loses it when Laurel wonders whether she's kidding and inquires as to Belly's pregnancy. Conrad watches in silence, horrified. Other than getting married, Laurel recommends they